I thank Patho India for the kind invite they extended to me to share my experience as a pathologist for past 15 years. Particularly Dr. Johnson for this kind initiative and the understanding that I would probably be a value or my experience will add some value to it. My heartfelt congratulations to the entire Patho Indian community for coming up with such a wonderful website which has helped many pathologists like me over many years. Patho India has offered me a post-work kind of a club which has let me share my experiences and interact with many pathologists across the world, which has helped me a lot in formulating my own experiences and my own SOPs across while I was working in the laboratory. How I came to being a pathologist I'll possibly take you back to my childhood. I was raised by a very kind and a very great set of parents. My father still hasn't left learning. He learns. At the age of 40 he did his LLB. At the age of 60 he did his environmental sciences MPhil, and he was still thinking of doing a PhD. His attitude teaches me that we have to learn each and every day with whatever, wherever, whoever comes across to teach us. My mother has been a very kind and gentle, hard-working woman whose home was always a very welcome place for everyone to come in. Everyone could come into our house and stay for as long as they wanted, provided they were studying or working somewhere and they needed a shelter in the capital of Himachal Pradesh. It was a home which was full of many professionals, many students where we were raised and we learned. I think we stayed with so many of them over the years that we have a large family as of now. Being a pathologist has various events which happened in my life which kind of fitted as a jigsaw puzzle. I was in class 12, I passed the class 12. It automatically made me eligible to go in for pre-medical streams, and I took it. While I sat for all those engineering exams, IIT Roorkee, which all of us do, I still cleared the PMT of Indira Gandhi Medical College, Shimla. After becoming a doctor, there were many choices and many social factors which eventually took me to become a pathologist. And even then I was not very sure why I was being a pathologist, but since being a pathologist does not involve night duties and emergencies, it was a career choice for me. It was only after I started doing my pathology MD that I realized I really enjoyed working, cutting up tissues, learning anatomy, learning physiology, pathology, learning about patients, diseases, doing lots of autopsies, doing transplant cases, cancers. There was free for all. It was like a state of art kind of a work which we did in Army Hospital R&R. We did all kind of technologies which existed under the sun. In fact, my thesis topic was fluorescence in situ hybridization on paraffin section of breast carcinoma. That was something which was very unique to the Indian pathology world, and I was really glad that I learned all those things before it became very common, and we could actually put it in practice and exactly see what our results and reports meant to the doctors who were treating the patients. After getting a degree in pathology, since I had to, my husband he's a fighter pilot, and I had to go back to wherever he was posted. So 7 years I spent in peripheral locations and the standalone laboratories in east and the northeast, Siliguri and Tinsukia. And the amazing part was that both the laboratories were very well equipped with state-of-art instruments, and I was doing everything virtually. Sometimes sample collection, handling materials, understanding the vendors, and then doing the routine urine examination as well sometimes, because I felt that everything has to be taken care of. So I never felt even for a day that I'm doing something which is demeaning or not enough interesting. Everything interested me. Years of working as a corporate pathologist and being almost a solo pathologist in many areas. Finally the time was there for me to take a plunge and follow my calling. So we didn't really very well plan the laboratory, but we decided that we have to do something which makes it meaningful. Hence the laboratory, the niche diagnostics was imagined, the plan, not really very well planned initially, but it came into being, and in April 2012 or May we started our operations. The most important aspect of laboratories functioning is the technical staff behind it, starting from the customer care to your accessioning person and the person who runs your samples, the technical expert, the scientific officer. It's our duty as a supervisors to help them with their career growth and the planning, and to make them understand that even as a medical laboratory technicians, there is a significant amount of growth they can do. While the pathology was just, I stumbled upon pathology as a subject, but I chose women's health diagnostic very carefully because it's one of the areas which is very close to my heart. It involves lots of things which means that if once we can take care of our women and give them a good health, that can automatically mean healthier women, healthier children, and possibly the healthier nation. The founder, my brother, he's the force behind this organization. Went through many incidences and articles and world literature to understand that cervical cancer is something which is bothering our women, and this is something which is so preventable. He was appalled, he said, why aren't you are a cytologist, you should be doing this more often than what you are doing. So eventually we took up cervical cancer screening as one of our main focus areas, and now we help lots of organizations achieve and plan their screening camps all over India. We are associated with various NGOs and even lots of gynecologists pan-India to help them with screening and follow up with the lesions and everything. To bring to India the world's latest technology, whatever is available in cervical cancer diagnosis. Because possibly today one of the main cancers we deal with is the cervical cancers. And all of us do know, but most of us do nothing about it, is that simple tests can take care of a women. I can't talk of world, I don't have any experience in that, but at least in India there's an element of shyness in coming up with getting their cervical, their pap smear taken. Well, we do let them that what the results are, possibly how much time it will take for the results to be. Then we discuss what results could come, what could be the meaning of each of the category broadly. Then we take help of our trained colposcopists to help them with the colposcopies and manage the lesions. Managing these simple lesions in an office-based settings or maybe a day's procedure in an OT can take care of their problems, which means they will be saved from this dreadful disease which they could eventually face sometime. In a way, in whatever smallest, tiniest way, I can help them overcome or get rid of this disease before it strikes them and makes them go for radiations and maybe exenterative surgeries which have their own morbidity and mortality, and not to say that it involves lots of significant trauma to the family as well. Resources utilization, of course, is one of the problems, because when you have a cancer and you need radiation, then you have to be mobilized from your place of living to the major cities, metro cities, and then staying for the entire family, and the support and everything goes haywire. People who have been working supporting the families have to now support a cancer patient. So while I may not be really qualified to, or maybe resourced to take care of the entire India's problem, but I think in a smaller way, wherever I can, whatever number we can, even if I reach 0.0001% of population, I think I'll be very, very happy about myself at the end of the day. We do our homework, we follow the world, we follow the latest technical advances all over the world, and we try to implement here in India. Currently, our screening to each woman, we advise somewhere from 3 to 5 years. 3 years if they don't do the DNA, and 5 years if they get their test done with DNA. So once in 5 years, screening frequency is something which is very acceptable to women in general, and the results are very, very exacting, so that takes lots of anxiety off their minds of getting unnecessary follow-ups and repeats. So this is a program which is very close to my heart. So finally, while I conclude, this sort of tete-a-tete or the conversation with my fellow pathologists and the patho-Indians, I know most of them are global. I would like to emphasize on maybe 3 points. One is for fellow pathologists all over, whatever hierarchy or whatever seniority or whatever chronological orders you are in. Each of us plays a very important role. We are doctors, and we should never ever undervalue ourselves, and we should understand that our role is very, very important in the clinician's life and as well as in the patient's life. trying to achieve everything on our own and ignoring their needs, their mental, social and developmental needs is not very productive. The growth has to be inclusive. It cannot be exclusive growth. It cannot be a very blinded kind of a growth. It can't be an asymmetrical growth. Everybody moves together. The team, complete teams moves together, and maybe it's a cliche, but it's a very, very pertinent cliche in our laboratories. Everybody plays an important role. Even the person even your courier boy, he plays a very important role, getting your samples from one place to another. The way he is transporting the samples, the way he is picking up the tubes, the way he is delivering the results, even that is very important. So there is no one who has a role which is less important than what we have as a pathologist. So together we are the ones who have more intellectual abilities to understand how to take their intellectual abilities and hone their skills more to our own benefit. That's going to benefit the healthcare system in overall, in general, and the laboratories in particular. Being a woman, if I do not address women, I'll be failing in my reaching out to people. We do have our own obligations, we do have our own roles and responsibilities, but sometimes we have to reach out to ourselves and do what pleases us, follow our callings whenever we are whenever we are done with our social responsibilities. Of course they come first, but being true to yourself also is very important, equally important if not more.